Hello, my dear students. We will talk today about how to balance a chemical equation part 2. We will talk about a combustion reaction, for example, combustion of propane. As you can see, I have here oxygen gas. If we have combustion, we must have what? Oxygen gas. So propane will react with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water vapor. The first step is we must count the number of atoms of each element in the reactants and in the products. Okay, I have 3 atoms of carbon in the reactant and I have 1 atom of carbon in the product. I have 8 atoms of hydrogen in the reactant and I have 2 atoms of hydrogen in the product, and I have 2 atoms of oxygen in the reactant and I have 2 plus 1 here, which is 3 atoms of oxygen. The question now, is this reaction balanced? Sure, it's not balanced, and we will learn how to balance this equation. First, we will remember the law of conservation of matter, which states that the number of atoms of each element before and after the reaction is conserved. We will return to our example, which is combustion of propane. Okay, step number 1. I have 3 atoms of carbon in the reactant and I have 1 atom of carbon in the product. In order to balance it, so I must place 3 before CO2. So here I will have 3. Then the number of carbon atom in the reactant is 3 and in the product is 3. I start with the carbon and then I will move to what? To the hydrogen. The number of hydrogen atom in the reactant is 8 and it is 2 in the product. So I must balance by putting here how much. In order to make 2, 8, I must here put 4. So I have 8 hydrogen atom in the product and 8 hydrogen atoms in the reactant, and the hydrogen atoms are balanced. I still have what? I still have the oxygen. So step number 3, I will count the number of atoms of oxygen in the reactant. I have 2 oxygen atoms in the reactant, but I have here 3 times 2, it is 6, plus 4, it is how much? 10 atoms of oxygen. So I have 10 atoms of oxygen in the products and I have 2 atoms in the reactant. So I must balance by putting here how much? I must put 5 before O2 in order to make it balanced. Okay, so here the equation is balanced by making these coefficient. Let's talk about another example. Application 2, combustion of butane. Combustion of butane also will give me carbon dioxide and water vapor. Okay, I have 4 carbon atoms in the reactants and I have 1 carbon atom in the product, so I must multiply it by 4 to make them balanced. I have 10 hydrogen atoms in the reactant and I have 2 hydrogen atoms in the product, so I must multiply it by 5 to make them balanced. I still have the oxygen. As I told you, I will put the oxygen at the end. So the number of oxygen atoms is 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 5 times 1, so 8 plus 5 is 13. So I have 13 oxygen atom in the product because I have oxygen here and oxygen here. So don't forget to count the oxygen here and here, okay? So I have 13 atoms of oxygen in the product. How can I balance it? I must put here, beside oxygen, 13 over 2, because 13 over 2 times 2 will give me 13. Okay, but I cannot multiply here 2 by 2 or simplify it. Okay, I cannot simplify it, so I must multiply the whole equation by 2, because in the equation I don't want to have a fraction. Okay, so I multiply it by 2. I will get here 2, and here 13 over 2 times 2 will give me 13, and 2 times 4 will give me 8, and 2 times 5 will give me 10. So this 2 that is multiplied here is we must multiply every coefficient by 2. So we must multiply the 5 and the 4 and the 13 over 2, and here we must multiply it to make this equation balanced. Okay, thank you for listening. Hope you understand the ideas.